Hey viewers, thank you for enjoying this video. I like this video because there was so much of interaction. Look at the comments that you have. Great. What we're gonna do, today's topic, the future of digital photography. Are we going with smartphone, or is there still gonna be smartphone plus mirrorless and a bit of DSLR left? So reading the comments that you left me and also the messages that I get on this particular video, they kind of like rang louder what we read 3 months or 4 months ago about Nikon completely ditching DSLR. You know what I know for a fact that Yichong, many of the brands are doing that. Only that Nikon is stupid enough to go out there and say that, hey, we'll stop doing it. The other brands have already, like Canon, Sony, they have already stopped DSLR for some time. So the fact is this, they are stopping DSLR because mirrorless is so good these days, or because that smartphone is chewing away a percentage of their income, and also that smartphone are becoming more common in professional shoots. Not too long ago, Sony made this claim that the smartphone in a few years' time is going to overtake your camera. Take a look at the price, which is like the price action determination of where things are going. Look at the price of your Sony camera, your Nikon camera, and your Canon camera. So if you look at these three major brands, the entry level looks like this. And the cheapest full frame has this price. And then the enthusiast full frame, this price. And then we're looking at the smartphones. Two that we're gonna focus on, which is the iPhone and the Samsung. So if we take the smartphone's price and the price of your cameras, put them together and compare, it kind of put things in perspective, how good your products are. So here's the thing that we can deduce. If you look at the highest end iPhone and the highest end Samsung, check out the price, compare this price to the entry level mirrorless of all these camera brands. You will come to the conclusion that the price is almost similar. So I think what these smartphone people are trying to tell you is that our cameras are as good as their entry level. Tell me what you think. Is this true? Well, here's what I think. If I were to buy a camera, it's a little bit like fishing. Why do people go fishing? Because they want the fish, or they enjoy the process of fishing, which eventually they release the fish back, which is like photography. You buy a camera because you want to go into the process of photography. You want to set up the ISO, you want to set up the camera, you want to set up the U1, U2, like what we did in this episode in our premium courses, setting your camera, the joy of the technology itself, and taking photos is a process. If you like that, then of course, it's going for a mirrorless camera or even a DSLR camera. But if you want to be able to take photo and just nice photo, and you don't want to worry about f values, ISO, shutter speed, which most smartphones don't even give you the option of knowing, then you're focusing on compositional photography, then go with the smartphone. So viewers, I want to hear your comment. This is important here. You're taking photos because you want nice photos, or you're taking photos because you enjoy the process. And talking about enjoy the process, I know some of you still shoot in films and you develop the films. And those people, I can honestly tell you, you love the process. So tell me in the comment section here.
So how about you? You like the process?
I knew Yichong is going to ask me, do I like the process or do I like the photo? I like things to be completed. You know, so whatever that gives me the fastest way to completion and get paid is my choice of preference, Yichong. Okay, second question that I want to hear a comment at the bottom is, do you really think that the iPhone 14 Pro, the highest end of the smartphones, their photos are as good or better compared to an entry-level mirrorless camera? Tell me what you think. And I also want to hear about using the budget as an option of comparison. My point is this, Yichong, talking about that, let me tell you what I think. I'm not going to go buy two smartphones just to use one as photography and the other one for my WhatsApp and Telegram. So I may still go get a dedicated camera, because it's like shoe. I know you can't relate. This is one guy that has one or two pairs of shoes. I've got like 5 sneakers, one for jogging in the rain, one for jogging trail, and one for like where to work, which I don't run in. See? So that's what camera is. You have one for video, one for still, one for studio, and I cannot imagine having one smartphone for everything. Okay, so the second point of discussions that I see a lot being mentioned and also in the messages is the usability of a smartphone and also the form factor compared to your mirrorless or DSLR camera. Now here's what I can tell you. Usability, yeah, kind of cool. I can like put it in the pocket, bring it out, can shoot it anytime. The form factor is truly annoying. You know, I always have my finger coming in just a little bit and it comes into the view. And because the lenses are embedded so flat in, I always need to like, you know, do stuff like this, clean the lens. And I find it so annoying that I can't. I have to press the shutter this way because sometimes I don't even hit it. And when I do that, I'm actually moving the camera. I'm gonna ask people who use Apple this. This silent button has been there since the day that Steve Jobs created iPhone, and it's always been there. It's never taken out for a legacy reason. Now, why do we need this now? Why can't we just have a dedicated shutter button somewhere? And I know there are a lot of brands out there that have tried and probably failed to make the smartphone a little bit more ergonomically holdable. I'm not sure whether you agree with me, Yi-Chong, but if I'm buying a smartphone, I'm shooting it professionally, it is because that I want the smartphone to be slim. And then here I go, carry a bag of stuff, attachment to make the smartphone more bigger and ergonomics, then go for mirrorless. And this point by Yi-Chong is very valid. Look at the sensor size of your average smartphone. And look at the distance between your lens to the sensor. It's very small, it's very near. And then compare this with the mirrorless size, the sensor and the distance of the lens to the sensor. So it is just as simple as this. When you have a bigger sensor, you capture more light. It senses more light. And you have a bigger sensor, you get a more beautiful depth of field. And that explains why, if you look at all shot with iPhone billboards, they look like this. Never once will you see one that has a shallow depth of field. And I can guarantee you, the moment you do depth of field, it's gonna suck. Look at the edges. It looks horrendous. It looks like an AI kicked in. It looks masked out. It looks like the worst interns, the one that failed, masked it out. And that is commercially not acceptable. Right? That only looks good when you're looking at your phone. The moment that you put it into a screen, it's going to look horrendous. And that is an important point, that every time, one of the things that Yi-Chong and I never like is that even though they may look good on your phone, the moment you download it into your 4K screen or your 27 inches monitor, it's going to look horrible. That brings to the point of my comparison photo. I kind of cheated. I kind of tricked you, because I didn't use low f number. I didn't use that many filter. I use high f value. Commercial shoots, most of the time we use high f value. And if it is high f value, the same cheat that perhaps all the iPhone billboards do, high f value will always make it look like an apple to apple comparison. So in other words, let me summarize this. If you want to make your smartphone photos look equally or as good as the mirrorless photos, for commercial shoot, always use high f number. And when you use high f number, you need to depend on light, and because of that, the combination of high f number and no shallow depth of field, fake AI coming in is going to make your picture look kind of acceptable and probably up there too. Not even the mirrorless. I find the form factor of the mirrorless so annoying because it's neither here nor there. You know, I find the heft and the ergonomics of a DSLR is really good. In fact, the way I hold it is kind of unique. I'm like grabbing it this way and it's like really stable. I formed that little triangle with my body and look at the grip that I have. I'm kind of like used to this, right? So that is important. Anything else is going to make me feel incomplete. But then Yi-Chong, I'm not paid as a photographer to feel complete. My clients don't care how I feel, how complete I am. Just complete the project and give us the photo, right? Talking about complete. Watch this episode, Bad Mistakes That Photographers Do. You're going to learn a lot from this. Processing and the tech. Now this is an interesting comment from Vishnu Rajendran. Hi, thank you for commenting, and I find this so good. I mean, this is mind-blowing. I can tell you this much. When I took these two shots, one is from a DSLR, the other one is from a smartphone. This has the AI and the HDR kicking in, and the other one I had to fire a flash and calculate the inverse square law and get the nicest flash. Look at this. One took forever to shoot. The other one was like instantaneous. Quality comparison, just side by side without zooming in, I would say not too bad. Zooming in, you be the judge. I want to hear what you think. But Vishnu brought out an important point, that why can't that they take the same AI and that HDR capabilities, I don't even know what it is now. It's not like they're telling us what they put into the smartphone, how they process the image. And to me, the moment I click it, it's kind of like instantaneous without firing a flash. Why can't they take this, put it into the mirrorless? Then that would be amazing. But for now, I can tell you this. The Department of Growth on image processing with the DSLR, that is long dead. With the mirrorless camera, kind of like dragging its feet. A lot of effort was putting into colors and the lenses, the whole plethora of the system itself. But if you're looking at what smartphone is doing, what they're trying to do is to focus on snatching that business from DSLR or mirrorless. If they've done that, they have like almost killed DSLR. Mirrorless killed DSLR. Smartphone killed DSLR. So my point is this. The mirrorless are not competing with the smartphone, but the smartphone is actively competing with the mirrorless. So it's kind of like an unfair fight where one is always punching you and the other one is not. So Vishnu, I totally agree with you. I've always wondered why couldn't they put the same tech into the mirrorless. You know what I found out? I just realized that Nikon doesn't make smartphones. Sony tried to make smartphone. That's even worse than not making smartphone. When you make smartphone and then you failed at it, right? And then does Canon make smartphones? So the technology, perhaps, if you ask me, they don't have yet. And talking about processing, I realized one thing. The public, the general Joe public and Jane public, tend to evaluate how good a camera is by the sharpness, which, if you ask me, the smartphone overdid it. In fact, you want to have depth of field for that softness, the subtlety of it, but no, sharpness is equivalent to superiority of quality image. And that brings on another point, is this. Many people, perhaps, don't know what a good photo is. How do I know that? Yichong, how do I know that? I work with them. They are fellow producers on the other side. And they're telling us that we want the picture this way, where we were thinking like that is wrong. But when you pay, you are right. So the definition of a good photos decreases. The quality of a good ad decreases. Over the months, throughout the whole pandemic, I realized that the quality of advertisement just want to get faster. They just want to be shorter, get your attention faster, and it's like, I want to shoot it quickly and put it up there so I can get more airtime and perhaps get you to buy. Gone are the days that you take like 3 days to shoot one ad. And that brings on the point of the comparison between the two photos. So this shot is done with a smartphone, and this shot is done with a DSLR workhorse. So there were a few commenters down there that made this point. Hey, this is not a fair comparison. You're not using the same girl. You're not using the same lighting. You're not even shooting it on the same day. Here's the point. This was an actual shoot for a client. This is like one of the highest standard that is, because there were budgets, there were producers, there were a whole team of, how many people were there when we shot this? We even had 2 makeup artists, right? We had like 2 assistant directors, and we shot like how many days? 3 days in total. And the brand itself approved it, loved it, liked it, right? That's what it matters. So the point is this. This is like the highest it could go for the budget and the time. Now, what I was thinking is, why didn't I use the same model? Simple, right? If you're reading this, if you're watching this, I can't afford this model to have her back do the same test. And here's what I was thinking. I was thinking that, hey, if I use a model that I have access to right now with the budget that I have at the shortest time of setup with no makeup artist, that means in other words, I'm making an 80% discount on everything. Despite the 80% discount on everything, from the model to the makeup to the lighting, this used like what, 6 studio flashes. This used like 4 LED lights. And still, with that discount, I could fool 100% of the people that commented on my Facebook. Now, I would say that if I were to do 100%, get the same model back, get the same light, get the same day, get the same makeup artist in, get the same producer, get the whole crew in, I might fool the whole world. You agree my point? Right, I know. So a comparison sometimes doesn't need to be like 100%. My point is this, does it worry you now? This has the best budget. Shot in the best form of all the professionals, 15 hours in the studio. This was done in like 20 minutes, true? Right? Are you scared now? So that's what I mean by the processing, which I believe that the smartphone will always win. The AI and the HDR, like what Yi Chong said. And when you throw in lights to them, okay, so now you're thinking, like, can I do a nice photo without light with the DSLR, Yi Chong? No, I can't. So if I have to throw in lights and budgets and crew into a mirrorless camera, why can't I throw in the same budget and time and effort and the technology, the whole crew into a shoot using the smartphone? Viewers, do you know what's the one thing that right up today that I know I cannot do effectively? A beautiful, natural looking bokeh. You know what? It can be done. It can be done. Let me just share with you how they can do this. The day that smartphones come with a interchangeable lens on your camera, that big, then you know what? It looks like this smartphone, which is not so smart, which didn't do well. So if you watch some of the videos that were on YouTube, this particular product was ahead of its time, and we know what happens to products that are ahead of their time. They die off easily. Great conclusion time. What I think of the future of digital photography. Here's what I think. If the smartphone solves 2 problems, number 1, the bokeh is realistic enough that it really look as good. I don't care whether they use an AI, I don't care whether they bounce lasers or shorten the flange or the distance, whatever, I don't care, as long as they get rid of this ugly little edge that they have there that look like the AI took some drugs and tried to cater it in, then I'm willing to use a smartphone for a natural lighting shoot. Other than that, I'm convinced that I can use a smartphone for my commercial shoots that has anything above f8. Deep depth of field, because I have access to all these lights. And here's another thing. If they give me more options, just like a DSLR or mirrorless camera where I can slide how much of HDR I can throw into it. I just don't understand why a smartphone has this on or off flash. Why can't I have like the EV of flash? How much I want to add more flash. And then I can have things like change the ISO, the aperture, the shutter speed. Well, the aperture doesn't mean much, but my point is that why can't we just have more slidable settings in a smartphone without me having to buy more apps? The day that they do this and get rid of the bokeh is the day that I'm going to be using my smartphone for almost like 90% of the shoot, until my client say that I don't want to see smartphone, I want a medium format for this. And I'm going to go like, you simply have to find another photographer. This one uses smartphones. That's it. I would like to hear your opinion. At which point that you be using a smartphone more than a mirrorless camera? What do they need to do to the smartphone to convince you to use it that often? So that's it. Head on down to the comment section. I want to hear what you say. Share this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget, visit my e-learning website, support my lessons so that I can continue coming here and do videos like this.
So tell me what you think about the new AI image generator.
That was really, that was a really interesting thing. I was like in holiday, and then I was like I was taking photos of my dog at the beach, and then I was thinking like, why do I even need to do that? Because sometimes she's not looking at me. And Cocker Spaniels are Cocker Spaniels. So I went to this app on my smartphone and I key in those keywords, Cocker Spaniel on a tropical beach looking at a sunset, and look at what I got. And compare this to what I shot, which is kind of impressive. You know what, photographers? Sitting on that beach, that was the point in my life I was thinking that, hey, my career could be in jeopardy because this is definitely royalty free, right? Me, I would need to hire a dog, go to a tropical beach. The cost that I would incur is really high. So if you really ask me, photographers, you really need to like worry about this.